Let's go and have a chat. Hi, I'm Chris, That Running Guy, and I've got a bit of a dilemma. As you know, this weekend I've got the Surrey Half Marathon. Run this event way back in beginning of 2020, end up running a 1:30.01. Yes, 1:30.01. And that was because I warped, because I blew myself up, went off too fast, and basically just wasn't fit enough to handle the pace that I thought I could do, because I was new to running and thought that I was able to run at 6:40 miling. Wishful thinking. So now I'm a bit more experienced. Yes, I've done a few races and I've gone off too fast, but I've learned from my mistakes. My official PB was set at the Farnborough Half Marathon, 1:29.46. And I was on for a 1:27, but blew up after 9 miles. The reason I've got a dilemma, two reasons really. I've just sorted out my diet to a runner's diet, and has literally transformed my running. If you haven't seen that video, I will put the link at the end of this video, because now I'm eating the right foods and I just feel I've got more energy when I'm running, where on the Farnborough Half Marathon, couldn't quite work out what had happened. Pacing was going okay, then got to 9 miles, legs was a bit heavy, no energy, and I was done, although my breathing seemed to be all right. That's one thing that's changed, but the other thing is that when I run the 1:29.46, I'd obviously recovering from a hamstring injury, and I did a 10k in the December and ran I think a 40 something, I can't remember exactly. And so my race predictor said that I should run a 1:30 and a bit of change, and it was correct. My last race was the London Winter 10k, and on the London Winter 10k I managed to run a 38.50, and on my race calculator, or the VDOT calculator, based on the 1:29.46, it said that I should have actually run, I think it was just under 40 minutes. So when I did my pacing, I thought to myself, I've got to be a bit quicker than that. So I paced myself on 39.30ish, that running quicker than that. So this is where the other dilemma comes in, is I've just mentioned the VDOT calculator, which if you haven't seen the video for that, it's kind of based on the kind of Jack Daniels formula, and you put in your race time for an event and it tells you what you can do for all the other races, i.e. mile, 5k, 10k, half marathon, marathon, etc. Marathon one's a bit dodgy because I think a marathon you need to put the training in to get the time. I put in the 38.50 and it says that I can run just under 1:26 for the half marathon. Do I go off at the sub 1:26, potentially blow myself up, but could get a PB? Or do I just be a bit more sensible? My initial plan was just to go off with a 1:30 pacer, get to about halfway, and then just push on. So how am I going to work out what pace to run at? Well, there's 3 ways of doing it. One is just to go by what my watch tells me on the Garmin, which we all know I might as well enter into the lottery. But since I've turned off the heart rate monitor, they're actually pretty spot on. If anything, I'm slightly quicker than the time. So all of them except for maybe the half marathon and definitely the marathon. The other way is using the VDOT calculator. It's an app that I've reviewed before, which we'll put links at the end of this video. And then the other way of doing it is to just go out on a run. Typically, I like to do 2/3 of the distance at the goal pace. And I did that way back in December before my half, and I ran 8 miles at 6:40. And that's why I was a bit confused when I could only go 9 miles at the kind of 6:40 and literally just run out of energy. But obviously that, I think that come down to my diet. Then on Monday, I went out on a 10-mile run, and I was doing what I call off-ons, which is the same as on-offs, but I just like to do it the opposite way around. First mile warm up, increase the pace, and then on for a mile, off for a mile, on for a mile, off for a mile, and so on until you get to 10 miles. And so the first on mile was, I was aiming for 6:35 and ended up getting 6:30. And then the off miles, I typically kept them between 6:50 and 6:58, just keeping them below the 7. Then the next lot of miles seem to all kind of be about 6:40s. Obviously it's still keeping in the offs at, just below 7. So I kind of come away 10 miles, taking into account obviously the warm up and the ons and off, averaging 6:51 pace. So that says to me that kind of pace wise, could I go 6:35 or is 6:40 more realistic? So my plan going into the race is to maybe go off at 6:45 for the first couple of miles to see how I feel, and then maybe build on that going forward and increase the pace slowly, but don't increase it in massive chunks, just kind of 5 seconds a mile maybe here and there, and to see how my body feels. Because if you take off 10 seconds, I could go straight into my lactic threshold and then my race is done. That's my dilemma. I think I'm going to stick with that plan. I don't think I'm going to go for the sub 1:26. I just think it'd just be me blowing myself up, and obviously me carrying the camera, talking to the camera, that obviously affects my time, and I need to add time on for that. So I'm interested in your thoughts. Do you use the watch for your race predictor? Do you use race calculators? Or do you just go off as fast as you can and just hang on? Let me down in the comments, because it's just interesting to find out what everyone uses, or have you used similar methods to the I've mentioned. Excited to be running the Surrey Half Marathon. As I say, last time I ran it was in 2020, just before the start of the pandemic. Got to get my revenge back. 1:30.01 on your first half marathon. So close, but yet so far. Anyway, I will speak to you soon. Onwards and upwards. Cheers.